All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Right here, we're still working on the 73 Super Beetle. Hopefully resurrecting it from, the hibernation it's had for, I think, 5 years. At the rate I'm working on it, it's going to be 6 years. But anyway, last episode, we rebuilt the engine and got it plugged back into the car. This episode, hopefully, we'll have it running. I've been slacking a bit getting it running or doing anything because I think in the last episode I told you I ordered valve covers. They're bolt-on style valve covers to clear the rockers. Knowing that, I'm going to have to take the loosen the rockers and put the valve cover, extenders, adapters on. So I'm going to lose, basically, I want to make sure that everything's going to still be inspected. I'm not readjusting the valves twice. In other words, I don't want to get it running with the factory valve covers, knowing that I was going to go and put different valve covers on this thing and possibly have to readjust all the valves. Caveat, I might have to readjust the valves anyway after this thing runs, but I'm not going to be doing it 3 times. I don't know about you, but I don't really like, wiping before I poop. So with that said, let me get this thing in the air. We'll put the valve covers on and then work top down building this thing out. Also, sorry for any background noise. It's cold here and I got the heater running. So I'll cut it off sometime probably in this video. Be back. All right, guys, gonna throw the bolt-ons on. I need a 15, first, let's just pull these rocker shafts. Pull those guys off, and I think they're 15s. Maybe 14. Oh, 15. Rocker shafts off so you can get these little adapters. Screw them on. Install them the same way you would the rockers themselves. They just replace that screw. Doink, doink. And we just slap that on. They still feel about where I set them. Grab your valve cover, grab a gasket. Get it nicely in place. Get it nicely in place. I switch out the hardware to flanged nuts or bolts. I don't like having that washer. I've had better success with these not leaking than using the supplied hardware where you use the washer. Basically, the flange is going to bottom out on, I'll show you on the other cover. You just need them snug. Old bridles, you don't need them, so just get rid of them. But yeah, done. But yeah, reason I switch out to this is when it goes into the thing, it fits and it will, well, if you can see that, it's raised when it sucks down. Whoop, it'll make a seal and it can't go anywhere, versus when they give you the Stay. Just the washer and the bolt. I've had it where it will leak between the between the surfaces, I guess, lack of better terms. So the nuts always look, or the bolts always look wet. This usually fixes that problem. But let me do the other side real quick and lower the car. No. We can, I can connect that while I'm here. I'll throw the exhaust on. Yeah, we'll do the exhaust. We'll build the bottom up. See, now the car's all the way up. Let me get the other side on. Be right back. Alpha cover's on. Next, I'm going to hang this header somehow, somewhere. Flashlight. We don't need the flashlight. And this is going to be a different style muffler, because if you remember, possibly, when we removed this exhaust that had the stinger pipe on it, we're all getting old. And, well, oh, jeez. Why are you so tight? Oh, it's because probably the cylinder's got spaced out. We're getting old and people like quiet, especially me. Urgh. Wow. Let's try going the other way. You came off this engine. Go back onto this engine. There we go. All right, got like a thread. And some dummy decided to put an oil filter on already. So that's going well. All right. A hardware. Now, let me angle this on to here. There we go. That's all I needed. Need a little hardware put on there. Ooh. Get this one started. Back that off. Now that we know that it's where it's supposed to be, I can, yeah, there we go. Get some air gap and get the gaskets in. And fight these now. I need longer hardware. That's on. More hardware. I just want to get these loosely attached. So I can tighten it back to the block or the heads. And it'll just, rehome itself, I guess. I got a shorter extension. I am hoping this thing fits. Sent the owner many options. You know, if you've ever ordered things or order exhaust or whatever, you got like 1,000 options. So this is what we went with, or what technically he went with. Nice. All right, let me get hardware, bolt that up. Yeah, this should work fine. All right, let me get this thing bolted up real quick. It's just awkward. I'm gonna have to find probably gonna have to make a rear mount to attach it to something, probably off the header. All I ordered was the pipe. There wasn't really like any, I don't think there was any kits available. That was the last bug pack that I was able to get my hands on, so, of that style. How much are you going to fight me? Dunk. So now I get to align everything. Single-handedly, like an animal. I don't know what kind of animal. Raccoon? Sugar glider? Sugar glider's an animal, right? Pretty sure. Say, pretty sure it is. As expected. Awesomely. Why won't you bottom out? All right, I'll come back to figure that one out. I might need different hardware. And by different, I mean like shallower. It looks good. Yeah, I'm gonna just have to make a bracket to hold the back end of the exhaust, which isn't a big deal. I'm just gonna take it off of the lower nut. Just put a strap on it. But for right now, yeah, because you don't want to bolt your exhaust to the body, because, well, the engine moves. Now, are you just going to cooperate now? Because that'd be ideal and a fantastical. Oh, is mine? I think my bolt is just on a weld. All right, guys. Went in with my rasp, made a little more clearance in there. So now the bolt slides in like it should. It was just a little bit, I don't know if the flange is a little warped or if, wow, it is way too much. I don't know if the flange is a little warped or if it's, the original exhaust flange or the header might be just a little wacky. But with that said, it's at least on now. Or it will be. Come on, tighten. There we go. Well, junk in the threads probably came from my old anti-seize. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can get a socket on that. Tight. All right, everything's tight. Like I said, I just got to make a bracket for this so it's not hanging on the stainless. And like I said, it's just going to go to the engine because you don't want it all to be vibrating. Well, you don't want to put it on the body because if you put it on the body, I don't know if you can see how much it's bouncing right now. It has a lot of flex. If you mount it to the body because the engine flexes, I mean, I could put I might, if I put it to the body, I'll be off of a rubber strap, one of the exhaust straps so that it can, move, kind of like an exhaust on a normal car. But ideally, you want it attached to the muffler or to the engine. If this had J-pipes on it, it'd be so much easier because I can just weld to a J-pipe and make a bracket. This, I'm kind of limited to trying to figure something out. I might make an exhaust hanger. I might just do an exhaust hanger. But for right now, this is good as it is. With, to say do a fire up. All right, well, while I'm under here. Let me tighten up the sump. So when we go to put a whale in it, that's at least tight already. I left it loose this entire time. I got to change battery. I left it loose this entire time so that any residual moisture, oil, so on and so forth can make its way out. I can happily report that by my floor, it did. Going down. See what we have in store for us up top. Let me get a little organized here. So we can start putting this together. And we'll still have to change a battery. Going well. Pull these, put anti-seize on them. We'll put them back and we can put that forward tray on. We can do the forward tray last, but I at least want to know that I have this part done so that when I go to put the tray on, I don't forget it. Systematic with my approach of doing things. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm doing the exhaust nuts that I said I'd go back and do, which, well, I'm going back and doing them now. Those threads feel weird. Not like bad weird, just like the first couple are a little tighter than I would like them to be. And then you can hand thread it, so it's not a big deal. Focus. All right, real quick. I didn't change the battery. I'm getting it set up to do the intake manifolds, but I don't know if I've ever showed this, but weird tech tip. If you ever, I like these Felpro style, the whatever, paper gaskets, but they're usually big. So you don't fight them. Bolt them to whatever manifold you're using. Just go the dual ports as well. And then just trim out the excess so that you're not fighting it or trying to hide it or possibly create yourself an air leak. Because you don't want to go backwards, I guess is what I'm getting at. Or I sure as heck don't. But yeah, let me get these trimmed out. I got to do this one, the other one, and then we'll start putting this thing together. Still haven't changed the battery, and it wasn't 3 minutes. Trace one, cut one, put one on two, then just duplicate, and you can just throw them on. Again, you want, I say this, you want these gaskets to be able to drop on without, like, you know, fighting them. Because if you fight them, well, then you might be fighting your intake manifold as well. So, trim as needed, and get them to fit. Just kind of like how we do I made sure the intake manifolds fit. You want to make sure that these things fit. Like I said, you get an air gap in there, you're going to have a bad day. Chasing. So that's down. That feels good. I think one of the, the blue Beetle I did, I had an air leak on that one after it was all done. Ran good. Went through one heat cycle, and yeah, apparently I didn't get the driver's side sealed, I think. Pretty sure it was driver's side. But yeah, just slowly make sure it's down. Double check yourself. Does look good. And we'll slam on those intakes. Just gonna put them on real quick. Slide them down, and then I'll bolt them. Down, nice fit. Drop down, nice fit. Double check that we're not hitting anything. Oh, I'm hitting the tar board. It's like, what's that knocking noise? All right, good. The tar board might actually have to disappear. What's under it? Oh, wiring harness. Might trim it back. The wiring harness for the taillights is pushing back, and it's not letting these things sit the way I want them to. They're not bad. All right, let me grab the carbs. I'll be back and change the battery. Manifolds down. New hardware and fat fingers. Should go, you know, swimmingly. I'll probably end up lowering the car, like right now, so I can get to him. I might pull this engine cover just for S&Gs. That started. You know, give me a little more headroom and access. All right, that's loosely down. All right, or loosely installed. Let me get my editor to do a. What do these wires do again? Be good to know. That's oil pressure. These are chargy wires. Okay, and ignition. All right. I had to, you know, refresh my memory on what the hell I was doing. Or what, excuse me, what stuff was. 12. It's scientifically proven the more complicated you make something, the easier it works. Nope, just made that one up. Grab that before I lose it. Driver's side cylinders are always more of a pain in the butt just due to the fact that they sit further back in the car. Tight. All right, those are all tight. Double check the fronts. Front should be fine, but we'll check them. Yeah, I think that's what happened. My socket took up whatever gap that I can get in for the front, and it just slid to the back on whatever, say, shimming. Come on, get on there. Weird. All right, that one's on. I jumped it, but whatever. If it had to come off, it would come off. Good. All right. Come back up. I don't know if you could tell that bubble when the carb's on there. I'm not able to get to the adjusters. And it would be the same thing on this side. That bow out would be blocking where the mixture screws would be. It'd be really hard to get it adjusted. So I'm just gonna pull the tar board, and the owner can get a new board or leave it out. It really, to me, doesn't matter. Firewall's okay, or okay enough, but I mean, you can tell it's not in the greatest shape. I'm just gonna trim low. I'm not gonna rip it out completely, but I'm gonna trim it to where I can access what I need to access because, yeah, science. All right, this carb's all swapped around. Fuel nipple, when you get them, you get two basically left-hand carbs, right-hand carbs, two passenger side carbs. So you're gonna have to swap your fuel nipple from this side to that side, and then I always pre-set my mixture screws, so all the way in till seat, and you don't reef them down. So once they feel snug, half turn back or thereabouts. And the forward screws snug and then about a half turn back. And the forward screws are stop plus half turn. But I can't set those forward screws till we get the linkage on. Also, pull the velocities off and blue Loctited the studs in that they'd hold. Right now, what I got to do, got to rob wherever the front is. Got to rob the linkage off of these things. No, I don't. It's on the other thing. No, I don't have to rob anything. I got to rob the linkage holders, bracket things off of these. So give me a second. Let me get these transferred onto there and get the air filter bases on, and I'll be back. Slightly goofed. I also got to finish putting this carburetor or the carbs on. Call me Backtracking Freddy, I guess. I was getting ready to mount the tops, but then I realized that I have to run fuel line. And it becomes a real pain in the butt to run fuel line because I run it at a hard line. If you watch this channel, you know it's kind of like what I do. But this one's also different than all the other ones I do with Weber's due to the fact that we got an electric pump. Normally when we have a mechanical pump, I feed this carb and this carb feeds that carb, you know, like a big loop. But because we have an electric pump on this one, I'm just going to bring the hard line up, tee it in the back, and then it's still going to be hard line there and a coupler and a hard line there to a coupler. Honestly, I always like going across the fan with a hard line. I don't like using rubber. It sags. This might just stay rubber line, that might go hard line. But let me tighten down these carbs. Get out all the stuff I just put away. You know, this is why I don't put things away. Because I immediately need the thing I just put away. Tighten these things real quick. And then I'll run some hard line. Like I said, I'm just going to go up the back and I'll figure out what I'm going to do after that. It is a process. Also, to tighten the carbs down, yeah, you need if you want to make life easy for yourself, you want to take the linkage, the hats, the air filters off, because if they're on, again, more of a pain in the butt trying to get to these back ones. Snug. Boop. And you definitely want to tighten your carbs before you basically, you know, run fuel line and all that stuff. Otherwise, it's all going to be in the way. Again, these back ones. Is it possible? Yeah. Is it practical? Not really. I mean, I guess if you're in a pinch and you can't get them off, yeah. But I'd rather not. Snug. And these guys, most likely I'm going to wrench. Snug. Or not. Try this again because, well, I think I lost footage. Anyway, hard lines ran. Just teed up from the back. Rubber line, short loop to this side. And then on this side, hard line all the way through. Got a heat wrap, you know, normal stuff I normally use. Just try, you know, keep vapor lock. What is on my face? My face. Anyway, that to this carb. So it's just heat. I still got to connect it underside, but I mean, that's not a big deal. Let me get the hats or the air filters and we'll start connecting this. Throw the linkage on, so on and so forth. Get this all, I don't know, ready to run. We're really close. Still got to do the distributor. I'm going to pull these guts out and put the ones I run in, just because I don't know. I have to also mount the coil. because it is no longer going to live in the bowels of the engine, because I hate that. It'll go back, up here. I'll just make a mount for that. Maybe I'll give him a new coil. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, and get linkage on. So let me grab the linkage, and we'll start putting this on after I get the air filters on. This side. All right, the base gasket for this side's already under there. Well, the separator gasket. I don't know what else you want to call it. That thing. It's over there. I want you to get this linkage bar in. Let me get a little lube. It has some goo on it, but you know what? It's out. Might as well put just a little bit more on for that smooth operation. And with any luck, I don't have to adjust these things. I can just slam them in, and they're going to connect up like they should, and everybody's going to be happy, including myself. All right, linkage is in. Feels a little tight, but it'll work its way free. Carb hats. Or the holdy downies. Yes, it is a technical term. You need to make sure you have your holdy downies on your thing, so it holdy downies. Came with new hardware, and also their Tef nuts. Because if you ever see me run these air filters, I don't run velocities. Well, these air filters, you can't run the velocities. Argue in the comments, because everyone... yes, I know it increases airflow. I'm not a doof. But like, if you listen what I say, it's turning a 90 to a 90 for it to increase airflow. So therefore, in my theory, I could be wrong, and I don't care if I am, because I'm never wrong. I'm only mistaken. All it's doing is going to compensate for the same. If you didn't run air filters that were that far off the top, yes, I could see a point in it, but the normal ones, I don't see a point. Boop, 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 boop. Lost it. Yep, found it. Nuts, they don't have to be smoked to Alabama tight, but also you don't want them loose. Again, for, well, obvious reasons. All right, this linkage side, yes, excessively tight. I don't know why. Just want to work free some? Oh, well. Why are you loose? I know it didn't loosen anything. It's been like that. Okay, that's much better. All right, this side. This side's simple. Just throw it on. Lock plate. Spin that lock plate around. So I'll be able to lock it when it's on. I don't like the linkage. But yeah, we'll leave that like that. We'll put the other one on. I'm going to do a just a pre-calibration sync, but I'm hoping, and this is what's going to get me in trouble, I'm hoping the sync as far as these arms go are, we'll say, within spec. There we go. And then I can put the top of the spring in. Almost. Almost again. There we go. Push it back. There we go. Spring in. Lock tab and nut. Yeah, I'm hoping these are like I said, the linkage bar. I'm hoping that's stay within sync, and I just have to basically balance, do a quick balance on the carburetors, which would be freaking sweet. Got a little more snug. These felt fine. But we'll put a little snug on it anyway. All right. Okay, those are now cooperating better. There was just too much slop. All right. Stupid screwdriver. By that, I mean the greatest one ever invented in the history of carburetors. All right, let's run this thing in. Touch. Plus half turn. About there. This one, same thing. Touch. Plus half turn. All right. Those are base sunk. This one's still reacting first. It's going to need a spring on it just to equalize them. I'm going to have to find springs. I don't think this had it, or if it did, I don't know where they are. Do I have springs? They usually bind if I hook it to that. What am I rambling about? I need another battery change? What is going on tonight? I think that might have been one of my bad batteries. Yep. But anyway, carbs are on. He's back. I'll get different springs. For what I needed to do right now, I don't care. All right, wiring. Let me mount a coil. Now that I have this rod on, and I got to figure out wiring to where I'm happy with it. Because you know, if you watch this channel, I am very weird when it comes to wiring. And I already don't like the way this is going to run. So, all right, let me do something. I'm probably going to extend all these damn wires. Because that's what I do. These two are fine, probably. All right, let me do some cosmetic stuff. But yeah, like I said, the way this one's gonna run, for it to be nice and like lazy, it's gonna be short to hit the alternator. So to connect it to me, then it's crossing over the air filter, so it's gonna be like running high. Ish, and I don't know about you. I don't like the aesthetic of it. That pulley's really good. But yeah, as far as the aesthetic goes, I'm not a fan of it. Still got to move this to wherever I'm going to put the coil. Like I said, I'm probably going to put it up here. Hopefully I don't have to extend them. And figuring out what's going on with this tin, because this tin is sitting way high and weird. It's like it's clipping this. So not sure on that, but I'll dig around. All right, give me some minutes, and when I come up to doing something more important, I will. But yeah, it's just like I said, slowly just putting it back together. A big thing there was getting carbs on. Now it's just down to like the little things, like I said, distributor, connect the fuel line in the back. I still got to drain the fuel and put a new pump in. I'll bring you along for that. But yeah, the button up part right now, it's nothing major. It's just cosmetic for the most part, because you know I'm whatever. But all right, let me do what I was doing. I'll be back. All right, guys. Before I tap out for the night, it's going on 9:30. So wrapped up the wiring. Wiring's ran. I think it's cleaner looking. Coil's mounted. I used the coil mount with one of the rubber isolators to hold that harness in place. I just threw the plug wires on just because that one, back 3 was a pain in the butt. I should have put it on before I put the carbs on. But you know what? I say this in almost every video. I struggle and learn. But everything is, as of right now, connected. Only thing left to do, we'll do it in the morning. Electronic ignition, fuel pump. I just threw the bore scope in the tank. It's clean and it's dry. So I'm happy it wasn't sitting with, 5-6-year-old gas in it. Where the gas went, I don't know. Maybe it was parked empty. But there's 0 fuel in it right now. Last few things, I'm going to leave the front shield off. It's just chilling right there. Leave that off for the run-in. It's not going to hurt anything. Losing a battery. Be right back. Here's some ways. Boy, that battery change really screwed me up. Fuel line from the rail to the fuel pump, fuel rail. Everything else is pretty much good for fire. Oh, and distributor. It's just in there. I got to do the guts and all that stuff. Oh yeah, like I said, tank's clean. I just had the scope in there. I didn't record it or, bring it along, but it's actually really clean in there. So I don't see a problem with that. Like I said, I don't know where a 5-year-old gas went. It might have a leak, or leaked out, but you can tell I've been here for a while. My screen just timed out. Well, my laptop did. Put a belt on, so on and so forth. I'm hungry. I'm going in the house. I'm going to make some pierogies. And yeah, join me in the morning. That's why I can't lose weight. I like to eat at 9 o'clock at night and immediately food come myself and go to bed. Any of you guys have that problem? Probably not. I'm a dysfunctional human being. Anyway, we'll hear this thing run tomorrow. Or I have a battery. Yes, we picked up a battery already early in the morning. My brother, America's favorite YouTuber here, undiscovered YouTuber, what have you, because I am such a treat and delight when it comes to camerography, videoing, the pump's in, but the problem with that, well, there's not a problem with the pump. At least I don't know yet. I haven't thrown any fire to it, nor is there fuel in the system. The problem with what I was saying about it is, well, I've done it before on this channel, and I don't know what, I have one battery that does not like to stay connected. Like if you move the camera, bump the camera, it just kind of, it basically blanks the screen. Well, when it blanks the screen, I lose footage. So if you don't see me, if there's no footage of putting a fuel pump, an electric fuel pump in this car, that would be why. But the new pump is in there. It is ran. I like this billet jacket. I think he had custom made. But also, there we go. We'll just break it. It's pretty damn tight in here. Yeah, this is all nice and dry, Roddy. All right. Electronics. Pulling these. Like I said, these might work. They might not. I don't know. They've probably been in there since, well, he's had the car. Or at least had this engine in the car. Not saying that there's anything wrong with them, but we're modernizing and updating everything else not modernizing, we're putting new stuff in. Okay, put it this way. I do not want to try to start this car and then fight a no spark condition, nor do I want to give this car back and find out that it made it like, an hour of runtime and then had a no spark condition. You see me put these in before, the MP, 9432 units. I run them in, hold on. I run them in everything I use. They're simple, rip out. If you have points, rip out the points. If you have, electronic ignition, rip out the electronic ignition. Then just gently pull all this stuff in. Get it where it wants to live. The only problem with this ignition system, it's not really a problem. It's just a terrible feature, is it doesn't work with all distributors. And what I mean by that is if you have the cheapest, say 009 or Vacuum Advanced distributor you can get your hands on, I will not guarantee that the shaft, that the cam lobes are on for the points, is cut down far enough or is at the right height. A lot of times you can't get it seated. The distance from distance from this rotor plate to at least it's a magnet. I'm gonna have to extend those. The distance to the rotor plate to the pickup is way off. This one is perfect. All right, new rotor, new cap. It's a little dusty. It's been on the shelf, but she's brand new. So I got a dust cover. I do. I'll be nice and put a dust cover on. It's not even being nice. It's just I have a dust cover. I'm going to put the dust cover on. Flip that. Rotates freely. Should be right about there for one. I got to do 2 quick jumper leads so that, this is, connected. You know what? For first fire, I'm not even going to do that. There's plenty of links. I will lengthen them before it leaves. I just want to hear this thing run. Oh, we still got to put oil in it, but yeah, there's enough slack to rotate and do things. So I'm not too concerned about that. What's this one? This one's 2. So this one's 1. 4, 3. And I'm going to go back and, like I normally do, clean all this stuff up, make it look, mildly more presentable. Coil. And also I'll go back and shorten this thing because it is, a little excessively long. Yeah. Depending on your coil, nipple, thing, you may have to try to force this boot in, or not the boot in, the boot in, but the electrode out just a little bit, because if it might have a tendency to pull back. and you don't want it to, obviously fall out in your engine. And like I said, I'll go back and shorten this cable. All right, let me throw a battery in. We'll static time belt. This is the old belt still, only because the new belt, well, I don't know where it is. But I mean, it's, the post office has it. So, it will show up eventually. I think it's supposed to be here tomorrow. But that's not going to stop this thing from running. And if it does, we have a problem. Bigger. Is there a long screwdriver? Tight. A little too tight. Let me back it off some. That feels about right for a serpentine belt. All right. This is fairly good. Test light. Gotta find a test light. I probably have it hidden for myself. I bought like 75 of these damn things, and well, here's one. Some of them make it home. But test light, I gotta throw the battery in. Oh, real quick. Figure I start and stop this before anything. And I gotta dump fuel in it. The tank is not bolted down, nor is it connected, because I want to make sure that fuel float, reads, floats. So I didn't want to put it all back together if I got to take it back out. As far as the gas, I'll just fill it with a funnel, just in there, so I don't have the neck connected or anything like that. None of this is going to affect, obviously, performance, and I got to shove the battery in. Once I get all that done, static time this engine, and then hopefully... Oh, get oil, and I got to put oil in. Let me do some things. Gas, battery, 710 in the engine, and gas, battery, oil, and yeah, we'll static time it, turn the key, and hopefully hear this thing chooch for the first time in 5 years, and hopefully everything works. And I didn't just eat the cost. So give me a second. We'll be back for a fire up. I think we're ready to fire. Fuel's in the tank, oil's in the engine. This thing has an electric fuel pump with a cutoff, so I'm going to dry motor it. Also make sure the ignition and everything works. Before we try to light this thing off. The ignition is also unplugged. And I only got one light. I got an oil light. This thing's probably not going to charge. Ooh, generator light came on. The hell was that? Oh, maybe I should tighten that. Whoops. This might be important. Ugh. Happy it fell off now versus, at 9,000 rip'ems. Because Moon Tune, what was that, a 19, I think? That's an 18. Just give me a 19. On. All right. Our oil level drop. I'm hoping it did. I have plenty of more oil. There's at least, well, I have 5 quarts in this thing right now. So that's plenty enough to get this thing fired. It's saying I'm right at the level right now. So let's kick that fuel pump on. Ugh. I hear it running. Let me check under it and see if we're pulling at least. You might be able to hear it in my mic running, but I want to verify. I mean, I could just pump the carbs at this point. Oh yeah, I can tell you we're pumping because that pump slowed down. Yep, and the fuel looks clean. All right. Do we have stuff in the squirters? We should. Dry, dry. Dry, dry, so they're not leaking. All right. All squirty. Let's try not to melt that. All right, let's light this thing off. Hopefully, we're gonna see if it just fires. Oh. Might as well get this hot. If the engine's right, it should be right about here, hopefully. All right, fire it up. She wants to. Give her a little more. Maybe a little less. I could static time this, but I'm not going to. Give her a pump. And we'll utilize the carbs, not going back to rest as an idle tune. Come on. Come on. You want it. You want less timing? I might still have to mess with the carbs, but they should be good enough to fire. Also, the oil light does turn off. Don't worry. All right, guys, did first run. I think I dialed the backfire out of it. I'm having issues with the driver's side. It's acting like it's getting too much fuel. So overfueling, basically when it's running, if I set the idle screws all the way in and I hit it with brake clean, I can stall the engine. Opposite on this side, where if I hit it, well, when I was hitting it with brake clean, it would rev the engine up. So that means that there was a lack of fuel. This side, there's too much fuel apparently. So let me double check my firing order. 1, 4, 3, 2. Yeah, okay, fire order is good. I also disconnected this carb because I couldn't get it to cooperate. Rev down low enough. That's fine. He's a little more idle on this side. Yeah, and I'll readjust the stops. Come on. Yeah, it's not like those bowls are overflowing, so. Yeah, a little brake clean will probably stall this side out. Oh no, we're good now. All right, guys. I know it's hard to hear me. Right about 980 on the idle. She's running pretty good. Just letting her warm run, do what it needs to do. It's charging, has oil pressure. It sounds pretty dialed. All right, sounds pretty dialed. This side was a pain in the butt to tune in. I don't know why. I'm gonna go back obviously after this thing heat synced, or heat synced tomorrow. We'll go back and adjust the valves again, make sure they're all good, because it does sound a little chattery. But that side was just not cooperating the way I would like it to. Also, if you notice that blah, 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 noise, this is why I hate hanging wires or running fuel lines, because that's for the deck light, and well, the fan ate it. But all right, let's see what a hot start does. Hopefully it hopefully it cooperates now that it's tuned in. Generator light came on perfectly now. We don't have a fuel gauge. I gotta double check that that's working. Oil pressure light's there. All right, fire and hole. Oh, there it is. Run a puff out of that one, not a big deal. Sounds good, nothing weird. All right, real quick, sorry if the audio's crap. I don't have my mic on or anything like that. I just decided, because the way the engine was running, to double check the valves. It's still hot or warm, but that clicking you heard, I'm gonna go and adjust them, but it's gonna adjust them on my time. But 3 is exhaust super loose, and loose. So I guarantee intake 3. Intake 3 is also going to be super loose. So let me go back, adjust them. Everything's seating, everything's warming in. I'll recap this, but I did set everything to basically 0 lash. So with it flowing and everything working, it's coming up. Also, I didn't make a bracket for this exhaust yet, because I got to take the exhaust off. This is why I don't like this style. I have to take the exhaust off to get to, well, the valve cover on that side, to adjust it properly. I could cheat it, but I'm not going to. So, all right, join me tomorrow when we run this thing up again. All right, guys, next day. Next day, after I recorded, I think, valves are readjusted so that they're not all, terrible. Let's see if this thing runs and cooperates. I still got to fix the linkage. Still way too tight for my liking. But yeah, let's see if cleaning up that chattery valves makes this thing do a thing. Key on. Give her some pumps. Still don't have a throttle connected. I say that's pretty good. Sounds so much happier. That it's not, you know, clanging, banging, and, you know, clanging, banging, and making all sorts of noises. This sounds good. It's quiet, it's not too loud. Little valve train chatter, but nothing that's not Volkswagen-y. Where's the squirt bottle? Gonna let some temp get into it and do my normal thing. Take my squirt bottle, pew, the cylinders, make sure they're on, you know, lighting off. But it's idling damn good. Bubbling, bubbling. Other flashlight. Bubbling. Weird one to hit. Oh yeah. We got all four. Also, gonna make these look better, but I gotta shorten this guy. It's too damn long. I don't mind it being slightly long, but that's excessive. So let me shorten that one. It's really annoying being that big. All right, guys. Hey. All right. I just did this entire thing, but for some reason, my mic wasn't synced to my receiver. So, with that said, I can no longer do a cold start. It started up fine, a little pop, but nothing major. Oil is done. Oil's changed, new filter. Old filter that we put in, new filter. It was incredibly close to the heater box, hence why I changed the filter out. So now we have heat on both sides. I'm going to refire this thing up. Hopefully it just lights off now that it's primed. Like that. Got to charge. Charging. Want to test the heat, make sure it's blowing, the cables are connected, everything like that. But for basically a cold start, it only ran for a few minutes. It's running. Throttle's connected, so on and so forth. What do we got for heat? Nothing. Lever. I don't feel really anything. What about the back? You got anything coming out the back? Beep. Maybe a little bit. All right, they should work now. I had the cables improperly adjusted on the, slides. So now the heat's on, the levers are actually pulled back, cables choked up. So, yeah, I screwed up. Not a big deal. try this again. Up, down, up, down, up, down. It's, I mean, if you guys build cars or work on things that have been sitting a while, well, you got to figure out every one of these is different. They all have nuances, if some will say. But we should have heat now. I am tired. Had some crap sleep last night. You know, it's a process. All right, let's try this again. That's low enough for me to fall. There we go. Now what? Temps on. I know the boxes are open. All right, I feel air movement. Yep, footwell's moving here. So back's moving, front's moving. We have heat. All right, next shot. Let me close this episode out because I think it's going on long. And well, we'll move on to the brakes. And what do we got? What do we got left? Got to do brakes. Hopefully it's as simple as doing a master cylinder, and I am going to replace the soft lines in the rear. The fronts, they're tough, so I'm really not concerned about them. But I am going to replace soft lines, and we got to put a, got to put a fuel sending unit in the front. So then we can take this thing out. Everything else works. So let me close this one out and, get back to you pretty much immediately. All right, guys, going to close out this episode on the 73. It runs. We don't know if it drives yet, but the heat works. Everything's good. The engine sounds really healthy. It took a little bit to get it tuned in just on the valve adjustment. On me, not really a big deal. I feel I'm completely off center on camera, so let's stand over here like I normally do. But next episode, hopefully, is going to be a not too big of a fight. Going to do the brakes and get this thing on the road. Also put in a fuel sending unit. I have that. Could do it in this episode, but like I said, I think this one's running a little long. So fuel sender, master cylinder, hopefully bleed the system and take it out. I am going to take it out on these old pads. We're not going to change them right this minute. What I'm going to do is use the pads to basically scuff into discs, so I'm not destroying new pads. And after that, they do a cleaning process. We'll swap out the pads that are new pads. The rotors feel fine. They're not grooved or cut. They're just overgrown. So, rust-wise from sitting, not a big deal. I mean, if you drove through rain and you parked your car, after driving, give it like 2 days and they're going to look like this, kind of. A little more extreme on this case, but about the same. The rust isn't hurting it. So as long as it breaks and I don't get like a bunch of pedal feedback, we're going to run these discs. So with that said, close this episode out. Car runs. Don't know if it drives, but everything else is working. Blinkers, lights. Don't know about brake lights yet, but blinkers, lights, reverse lights, so on and so forth. Everything's good. Closing it out again because I feel like I'm a broken record. If you like this episode, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. If you do, I promise you we will chit chat. As always, thanks for watching. Hopefully, see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.